Our next speaker is Megan Leffew. Uh, Leffew. Sorry, Megan. And she works for the Center for Profitable Ag. And Megan, why don't you talk a little bit about what you do with the Center for Profitable Ag and the kind of resources you have, and about yourself also.
Well, good evening. First, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, great. Well, it is a pleasure to be with you tonight, and an honor to be on the program with Vera Ann especially, and Stephen as well. I've worked with him for many years, but I have spent many an hour with Vera Ann and sat in those rocking chairs and rocked with her, and I wish I could get back there more often. But it is a pleasure to be with you tonight and talk to you a little bit about what I do and the center that I work for and the resources we have available, as well as some data about agritourism, a little bit about marketing, a little more about liability. So our center is a department within UT Extension. So just like your extension agents in the counties where you are from, here in Tennessee, we're part of that group. But we're a little bit unique in that our center is a partnership between the university and Farm Bureau, incidentally. And so we work pretty closely with them in several areas and appreciate their support of our center. We work very specifically in helping farmers develop value-added agriculture enterprises. So we work with farmers who are interested in direct marketing products to consumers, so pick your owns, farmer market vendors, people who are processing, make food manufactured products, other manufactured products, and then marketing those products, and then agritourism operators. And we conduct educational programs, workshops, conferences, tours, a lot more webinars these days, just like you all are doing. We develop educational materials and have a lot of publications available online. And then we work one-on-one with farmers, whether that is answering a question via email or making a farm visit. Hopefully we'll get back to that someday soon, making farm visits or Zoom visits, and even doing some fairly detailed analysis for a specific business idea. So I want to dig into agritourism a little bit and just cover a few things related to some census of agriculture data to show a little bit about what's been happening in agritourism the last 5 years or so. This map shows Tennessee and surrounding states and the direction, the change in the number of agritourism farms according to the Census of Agriculture between 2012 and 2017. Now, the Census of Agriculture defines agritourism a little bit more narrowly than we do. Agritourism is defined by the census as the entertainment, recreational services, and does not include things like pick your own, which is included in a different category. So agritourism may be a bit broader than we see here, but Tennessee in the last 5 years between 2012 and 2017 increased its number of farms by 5%, while the United States overall actually decreased in the number of farms offering agritourism and recreational services. And you can see Tennessee and Virginia were the only states in this region who actually increased in the number of farms. So although it may be an in thing to do, it's not necessarily an easy thing to do. And we'll learn a little bit about why and how to perhaps increase your potential for success if you decide to dive into this enterprise. The value of agritourism sales over this time period increased 22% in Tennessee and 35% for the U.S. overall. And you see here the value of sales total for the industry in all the states but Alabama surrounding us did go up. And that has been a trend over several censuses now. So customers are supporting agritourism enterprises. Average sales per farm went up also during that time period, 17% in Tennessee, 56% in the United States. I will say Tennessee, the previous 5 years was much, much higher. So average sales per farm may have leveled off a little bit. And this is a snapshot of a particular year, and weather can greatly enhance revenue in one area over another in a particular year. You notice average sales per farm did go up in all the states around us as well. If we take a look, the data also shows us the change, the number of farms in various categories based on their sales. So we can see in 2017, for example, that 162 farms had less than $1,000 in farm sales. So those are very, very small farms. 274 had less than 5,000 in sales, between 1,000 and 5,000 in agritourism sales. So agritourism is contributing a little bit more to those farms. So we have quite a few farms who are just doing a little bit of agritourism in the state. So not all farms are great big attractions. And this might, I heard somebody say, I think it was Vera Ann earlier, that says, start small. And I agree with that. Start small and grow smart is kind of what I try to tell people. The goal of most people who are interested in doing any sort of value-added direct marketing in agritourism, in many cases at least, is to be profitable. We need to at least support our habit here. So when we think about profitability, of course, at the bottom line, your income has to be greater than your expenses. But in order to do that, we really have to juggle a lot of balls and make a lot of things happen at once. We have to manage our expenses, because there can be a lot of expenses. And a lot of times people will call and say, well, I drove by such and such agritourism enterprise and I saw all the cars, and if there were 4 people in each car and they were charging $10 to get in, they were just raking in the money. Okay, well, it might look like that, but there are a lot of expenses that go go with that. We've talked about liability insurance, but even things like one operator said they went to Sam's and bought $1,000 worth of toilet paper. I mean, there are a lot of expenses that go into this as well. So you've got to be able to manage your costs to have a chance at profitability. You have to manage your production quality and efficiency. And so whether you're producing farm products, and we hope you are, and marketing those through agritourism type operations, that's kind of the purpose of it. But even the services that you offer have to be done very well and done efficiently. We need to learn how to price for profit. We spend a lot of money going out, and the money coming in is related to that price. And so we have to be very strategic about how we price our products in order to generate enough income to pay our expenses and garner a return for our business. People have to be willing to pay our price, but we also don't want to leave money on the table if they're willing to pay more than what we actually price the product at. When we start, our income is 0 and our expenses are greater than 0. So when we start, we're at a loss already. So we've got to be able to ramp up to get enough volume in going to where we're having some cash flow. And then the important thing is to really provide that excellent customer service like Vera Ann mentioned, and those quality products, and give people memories that they want to make traditions, and build those repeat customers, because that's really where your income over time is going to come from. And keeping customers is a lot less expensive than generating new customers all the time. And then we also have to manage that risk. And some of that is associated with liability, like you've talked quite a bit about, but there's also other types of risks, from production, from human resource risks. We've had people with key people in businesses leave for some reason, either death or divorce or disagreement, or a key employee leaves or something, and that can be a problem. Right now, somebody could get sick with COVID-19 or anything and be out of commission. So we have to learn how to manage the various types of risks for our enterprise as well. The reasons that businesses fail can be helpful to us so that we can try not to make the same mistakes. And oftentimes businesses fail within 3 categories called the 3 M's. The one is money. And part of business is you've got to have some money to start up, and you've got to generate some money over time in order to pay those bills. So you've got to have some capital and cash flow. You've got to have money to make money, it seems. And that's hard for, that can be a stumbling block for some people. And right now, in the times of COVID-19, cash flow is an issue for a lot of people. And we're seeing businesses go out of business because they're running out of their reserves. Management is another reason that can make or break a business. Just having the skills and experience to juggle all those balls that we talked about, from managing costs to managing employees to working with customers to producing products and services. It just takes a lot to keep all of those balls in the air. The third reason that businesses often fail or succeed is related to marketing. And one of the main keys to marketing is knowing who your customer is, really understanding what they value from your business, and then providing them with that and developing marketing strategies to reach those particular customers. Sometimes people will say, well, if I build it, they will come, and and don't do a lot of marketing, or they just go out and do some marketing without really keeping in mind who their specific target audience is. And neither one of those are very efficient or effective methods. The fourth reason that businesses fail, and this one isn't necessarily in the study that talked about the first 3 M's, but came up at a meeting some time ago, and it is so true. The fourth reason that businesses often fail is the lack of magic, for another M. But you really do have to have the passion that Vera Ann displayed, the energy to keep going and the drive to keep going, even after a really challenging day with a customer, or a crop failure, or a run-in with a regulator, or what have you. The teenagers not showing up for work. Really being able to go. I had a meeting with an operator one time, and this person had trouble with the expenses exceeding income, and I mentioned that their operation, was small enough that they probably couldn't afford to pay the employee that they had. And this person said, well, I would have to work like 50 hours a week in order to make this work. And yes, you would. And probably more than that. And that's part of small business. That's part of extension too, by the way. But it's part of a lot of this is probably not a 40-hour-a-week job, especially during October, Vera Ann, or May, or when you're the busiest. So being able to make that happen is important. So marketing is a key component of a business, and I'm a marketing specialist, and Lexi asked me to talk a little bit about marketing plans. And I want to keep it a little bit simple because we don't have a lot of time tonight, but I want to impress upon you the importance of having a real plan for your marketing. It is like a roadmap for your business. A marketing plan helps you kind of survey the lay of the land and what's going on in the marketplace out there. It helps you figure out where you are. I'm right here in Columbia, Tennessee. It helps you figure out where the threats are in the marketplace, where the challenges are, where you don't want to go, things you don't want to do, and why. It helps you figure out what your goals are and where your target audience is, and what you need to shoot for. It helps you figure out the strategies that it will take to get you from where you are to your goals and to reach that target audience. A marketing plan also helps you figure out how you're going to monitor and measure your progress, so that you know when a roadblock comes up that you need to find another way around, and helps you determine the methods to do that. So a marketing plan really is a vital aspect of your business. So where do you start if you are interested in agritourism or any sort of value-added or direct marketing, or really any sort of business? Where do you start? And I would suggest that the first place is in the mirror. Assess your resources. What do you have available to you? Whether that's your skills or the skills of other people on your team, the land that you have, the location that it is, the structures that you have available, your passion, your health, the mission that you have, and goals that you have. Do you need to make $5,000 profit a year, or $50,000 to replace an entire income? So what is it? What do you have available to you, and where do you want to go? And then you need to get out of that mirror, take off that producer hat, and put on a customer hat, customer glasses, and take on a customer state of mind, because that is a lot of where your marketing comes from. So marketing really is all about understanding your target customers and developing strategies to reach them. So agritourism is pretty broad. Different farms offering agritourism products and services can range from, pick your own strawberry and peach and apple patches, or on-farm retail markets. It can be spring educational school tours, summer camps involving agriculture, fall educations. We have farm-to-table dinners. We have event facilities, all sorts of things that can be involved on operations that are farms. And so haunted attractions is another one. So you're going to have different target audiences for those different products. The target audience for a haunted attraction, for example, a haunted corn maze, is much different than the target audience is for an educational field tour, or a homeschool a day on the farm, or a wedding or event on the farm. So, and one farm may have several different products with several different target audiences. So really understanding who the target audience is, and then learning everything you can about them. What do they value? What are they looking for out of the products and services that you offer? What are they willing to pay? What sort of convenience and service factors do they need or want? And how do they communicate? How do they learn about products and services and make purchasing decisions? Based on those target consumers and their values, then you develop your marketing strategies. What products are you going to produce, or services are you going to offer? And what are the details of those, the characteristics of those? The positioning is related to the image that you want to portray, the message that you're sending through all of your marketing tactics. The price is in part set based on what they're willing to pay, also what it costs you and some other things, but certainly what goes in to that is what your customers are willing to pay. The place, where are you making your products and services available? What kind of amenities do you need? Are you going for a rustic farm look, a genuine farm look, or a storybook farm look, or what does that place look like? Promotion is related to your advertising and your communication, social media. How are you going to reach those customers? And people strategies are related to the services that you're planning to offer. If you are starting with a blank slate and trying to figure out what to do, especially, I suggest you take a market-driven approach. And by this, what I mean is to take a look at what's out there in the marketplace and try to figure out where you can fit in, instead of saying, I want to do this and try to force it into the marketplace. Where is there a need? So take a look at that marketplace. Is there a need or a want that your business can fulfill? And if so, what and how much is needed out there? What's valued about that business? What characteristics, all the values of the customer, what competition exists out there? And then take a look at who the target market is. How many of those folks are out there? What age range are they? What geographic area do they live in? You know, what kind of education do they have, or household income? How can you describe that target market in as much detail as possible? And then what are their shopping behaviors and needs and desires for that? And also then what are their customer values? The customer benefit is what they're looking to get out of your product, and they're not just looking to buy a tomato or a pumpkin. They're looking for perhaps the taste of summer in that vine ripened fresh tomato, a wholesome food for their family. You know, they're looking beyond just a farm product. Cost, what they're willing to pay, convenience, as far as, are they going to come to the farm? Are you coming to them? And communication is how they learn. We also need to figure out, does a profitable market even exist? So is there an adequate market size and potential share for you in that marketplace to generate a profit? Are you able to produce at a cost low enough and sell at a price high enough to generate a profit? These are some really important questions to ask on the front end. And then how do you reach that target market? Are you able to develop, implement, and evaluate marketing strategies for the product and service that you are have determined that there's a need and want out there that your business can fulfill? When we talk about marketing, we often think about advertising or promotion. So I put just a few thoughts down related to keys to successful promotion. The first one is that you develop those promotions specific for the target audience that you're looking at reaching. Who are these folks, and how do you reach them specifically? And that means, what method do you use? Are they a direct mail person or a social media, and which social media outlet are they? Of the Facebook group, or are they in the Snapchat group? We also want to make sure that all of our marketing is consistent with our positioning. So the image that we want to portray is portrayed throughout every marketing tactic that we have, and every promotion that we or advertising that we do. Take advantage of networks and resources, especially the free ones out there. The Pick Tennessee Products program does quite a bit for agritourism operators, free listings on their websites and app. A lot of times they're doing a lot of social media marketing right now, featuring various farms across the state. In the past, they've done some media days and other things, so they're a great resource. The tourist organizations at your local, regional, and at the state level, the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development has opportunities to put brochures in welcome centers, if that's your target audience, to be listed on the tnvacation.com site, if that meets your target audience. If you aren't on the web, you aren't these days. So develop a web presence. Even if that's getting a nice listing on the Pick Tennessee Products website, at least you're on there somewhere. Get social with social media. Most folks are on social media somewhere, finding out which platform your target audience uses the most. And then try to connect directly with email. Once you start getting some customers, if you can get them to give you their email address to where you can connect with them directly, that can be very beneficial. A lot of times, I heard a speaker say that we build our mansion on rented land, and that's what we do a little bit with social media. There's a lot that's out of our control with that. There's a lot more in our control if we can connect directly with those customers via email. We could spend all night just talking about marketing. So I wanted to hit the highlights with you, which I think we have. Really the key is figuring out who that target audience is and developing your marketing strategies specifically to that audience. But we have some more specific information in publications that are available for free download on our website. Everything from choosing direct marketing channels to Farmer's Guide to Pick Your Own, Farmer's Guide to Community Supported Agriculture, pricing, advertising, creating signage, handling customer complaints on social media. So if you have a specific question about marketing, let me know. I'll be happy to try to help you answer that or direct you to a publication that can be helpful as well. We'll talk a little bit here about agritourism liability, including the Tennessee Agritourism Liability Law. And I know that's been touched on by both Vera Ann and Stephen, so I'll try not to speak too long on this. I may move through the bullets a little bit quicker. We do have a publication on that law that we wrote that talks about some of the wording in there, and also we had assistance from a staff attorney at the National Ag Law Center and Tom Brown from the Farm Bureau in Mutual Insurance to help us a little bit with that. So that's a good publication to take a look at to learn more about it. But the law does limit the liability of agritourism professionals for injuries that are caused by inherent risks. So a lot of that Stephen was talking about is a huge risk. Somebody walking across your uneven ground and on a farm, which is very typical of a farm, and turning their ankle, breaking an ankle, or getting injured on some sort of activity. So it does provide some liability protection for that. Those things that are beyond the control of our agritourism professional. The statute applies to agritourism professionals providing agritourism activities as defined in the law. It is limited to farms or ranches that are eligible for Greenbelt certification. I wish that this were a little bit lower. We do have some farms that are sell quite a bit of pick your own berries that are less than 15 acres, but that's how they were able to get this law through, and we're glad to have it. So an agritourism activity is carried out on a farm or ranch eligible for Greenbelt classification that allows members of the public for recreational, entertainment, or educational purposes to view or enjoy rural activities and attractions. They talked about Greenbelt classification a little bit earlier. That refers to your property tax assessment classification. The minimum acres is 15 acres. Another 10-acre tract can also fit under Greenbelt if the same owner has a 15-acre tract as well. There's also an average annual gross farm income of $1,500 over 3 years. There's some exception to that income if the farm has been in farming for at least 25 years. There are some limitations. This does not cover anything if you or an employee is grossly negligent, if you fail to train somebody properly, you intentionally hurt somebody, or you didn't do something that you should have in order to protect somebody. So there are limitations here. You also do need to post and maintain those warning signs, and Vera Ann, I send people your information all of the time to get those signs. It's a great service that she does offering those. You can also have them made anywhere With your own sign maker, you do need to make sure the wording is all correct and it's to the letter of the law, that they're printed in black letters at least 1 inch tall. You also want to include that same warning in any contracts that you issue related to the agritourism operation. Sometimes we do get asked, will this prevent people from suing? No, we hope it will reduce the likelihood of people suing. And also, the injured party has to prove that there's a cause other than inherent risks. And yes, operators do still need liability insurance. Most insurances also will help defend you if you are sued, and help try to work through that. So having liability insurance is of importance. A little bit more about the liability insurance. We've had some questions lately regarding liability insurance and liability related to COVID-19. So it's really important to discuss with an insurance agent, if you were concerned about this issue. You want to ask about your coverage or exclusions for communicable diseases. You want to talk with your agent and also have them point to the wording in the policy so that you can read it for yourself. Many farm and commercial liability policies exclude the liability for transmission or exposure to a communicable disease, bacteria, virus, parasite, or other organism like COVID-19, hepatitis, tuberculosis, and measles. They may include liability coverage for physical injury caused by a bacteria, parasite, or other organism contained in food products intended for human consumption. That might be E. coli, salmonella, listeria, and similar foodborne illnesses. But it is important to really understand what's in your policy. There are some insurance agents who will cover some activities and not others. Some will cover zoonotic diseases. Mary Ann talked about the risks associated with a petting area or having animals where people can get to them. So we really need to understand what all you're offering and what the risks are, and then communicate with your insurance agent to make sure that your coverage gives you the protection that you need. Just a few more resources from our Center for Profitable Agriculture. You can take a look at our website. I will admit it is in pretty rough shape right now. We are in the middle of building a new site, so we haven't given this one a ton of love recently. We do have a new COVID-19 resources page on there, and are adding links to that as we find them. But stay tuned. Hopefully this fall we'll have a new shiny website. We have a Facebook page where you can find new resources. I just posted a new publication that we have today that's about county level census data for the state of Tennessee. We put information about funding programs, educational programs, everything on there. And we also have an agritourism e-news list that we send information out directly to your email. If you'd like to sign up for that, you can email cpa@tennessee.edu and just ask to be added to the agritourism list. We are really excited this fall. I was really excited to offer in-person workshops this fall, day-long workshops on these 3 topics, but it appears that we will now be offering virtual workshops on these 3 topics in the fall, and we'll look, maybe spring and summer will be different. We just don't know. But we are offering a more in-depth workshop on exploring agritourism for your farm. And we're working with Casey Troop from the Tennessee Department of Agriculture and Amy Ladd of Lucky Ladd Farms in Middle Tennessee, and perhaps some other operators for those workshops, or that workshop, which will be probably several evenings broken up into chunks to get that in. We'll be doing a similar version of starting a food manufacturing business in Tennessee, talking about some of the regulations for food manufacturing and different types of products in Tennessee. product packaging, risk management, business planning, funding that toward a business. And Market Ready is a program developed by the University of Kentucky that we will be bringing here to talk about marketing products directly to restaurants, grocery stores, and institutions. So if you would like information about any of those, let us know. We'll put you on the news list and let you know when those are coming up. Do want to recognize this material and those publications, or those workshops, I'm sorry, will be part of a grant project that we have been awarded by USDA and the Southern Risk Management Education Center, and also some support from the Tennessee Department of Agriculture, which we certainly appreciate. So that's all I have for you today about agritourism, marketing, liability, and resources. I would be glad to help to try to answer any questions you have on these topics or other agritourism topics as well. And if I can't, hopefully Vera Ann's on here and she probably can. So we'll we'll take questions now.
Okay, Megan, you've got a couple questions from Valerie. Are you familiar with anyone incorporating agritourism with a Airbnb farm experience? Is there a market for this?
I do know people who offer lodging on the farm in some way, whether it's a apartment above a barn, for example, or other things, whether they market that through, I think that the one I'm thinking of does do Airbnb. Others I have seen on Farm Stay USA, VRBO, other things there. You know, as far as is there a market for this, I think it may depend a little bit on where you are and what you plan to offer. We have people who are doing glamping, you know, and have some really neat glamping things as well. So I think you would just have to take a look at that. I feel like people are interested in that right now. For example, I would be interested in that. I would love to find, and we're actually going to a camp soon, just to have a change of scenery, but I'm not interested right now going to a hotel and riding an elevator and staying in a room where people have been, you know, with COVID-19. So, but I feel like there can be some opportunity for that. But again, you really need to, for each of these things, take a look and do a business plan and marketing analysis for that product.
Okay. What do you see as, here's the $1 million question.
Yes.
What do you see as an agritourism opportunity in East Tennessee, and what's missing?
You know, I wish I knew. It depends on where you're at. I mean, one person I have had, I don't know how many calls for people who want to do wedding barns in the same county outside of the Nashville metro area. And, you know, I'm like, there are 7 wedding barns right there, right? Oh yeah, but I think another one will work. Okay, well maybe, but but why do you think that will work? So, you know, in some areas there is probably saturation of some types of operations. How many corn mazes can be in a certain area? Well, it depends a little bit on the population and how far people are driving in that area, and you know, do they have 20 years experience and have a really loyal following, and they're not going to go anywhere else but those places? Or are there places that just don't provide that great a service and people go there because that's all there is? So you really have to take a look at the specific situation and see. You know, and talk with folks. I'm not sure necessarily about East Tennessee. About this one, there's probably more there because you're close to North Carolina and everything. I know, you know, in Middle Tennessee, the Christmas tree growers tend to be selling out pretty quickly. That's kind of a challenge though, because it takes a few years to grow a Christmas tree. So there are lots of challenges.
So you mentioned something about wedding barns, and to fit under agritourism, even in your zoning, there's zoning issues you have to think about. There is also, I know some counties have really started looking very closely at wedding barns because they're really not producing an agricultural product.
Right. So this is a contentious issue across the state on many levels. Because there are some people who are buying land to put up a wedding barn, and then they find out that that doesn't automatically qualify them as agritourism, and agritourism really doesn't mean anything in the laws beside the agritourism liability law. There's no other definition of agritourism in the law. The definition of agriculture in Tennessee statute does include education and recreational activities on land where there's commercial production of farm and nursery products. It also includes entertainment if it's secondary to other activities, secondary to the commercial production of farm and nursery products. So that doesn't make it much clearer, because I'm not sure what the differences in recreation and entertainment are. So then some people say, well, we have some hay on this land. We're making hay on this land, so that's agricultural production, so we can have a barn. And we don't have to do the fire codes because it's an agricultural building. And none of that is true. I'm not sure. There has been a case in Jefferson County recently that the county came and said, you can't do this because it's zoned agricultural. Have a wedding venue here, but they have won that case there. So there's a lot of intricacies. The other aspect is property tax evaluation. Some wedding barns in the state, the county has come in and said, this is agricultural property, zoned agricultural, but this is a commercial activity. So we're going to take this chunk of your land out, and we're going to tax it at a commercial rate and at the commercial value of that land. And so that increases the property taxes as well. I'm not really sure what that does. If you have 15 acres and they come and take 2 acres out and call that commercial and tax it commercial, what that does to your liability law issues. And that's not a question that I have been able to get answered yet. So, and then the other issue I mentioned with the fire codes, if you are having a building with assembly in it, even though it's a barn and maybe sometimes used as a barn, the state fire code marshal's office said that you have to have that building follow codes to the highest use. So if you have an assembly of 50 or more people, then you've got to do all these things with fire code. And that's a question I often get is, well, this is agritourism, I don't have to follow any rules, right? No, that's not the case. I had a gentleman call me recently. He wanted to put in bathrooms. The county said, well, no, you can't just put the waste into a tank and pump it out. You have to have a septic system approved, and we have to follow the laws as they are. We don't get a pass just because this is agritourism, or we say it's agritourism.
Okay. Our last question would be agricultural products and paying tax. Can you give a little tiny primer on, what you have to pay taxes on and what you don't as an agricultural product from your farm?
If we're talking sales tax, is that what we're talking about, or business?
Yes.
Okay.
Sales
So,
tax.
okay, if you are raising the products and you're selling the farm product that you raised, that is always exempt from collecting and remitting sales tax. The only caveat is, in some cases, people might raise it in a farm and then market it through a different business entity. And if they transfer that product and don't do any raising in the new business entity, like they might raise cattle and then sell the cattle to their LLC to market meat directly to consumers. In that case, then the entity that's selling the animal is not the one that raised it. And so then you have to collect and remit sales tax. So if you raise a product and sell it, it is sales tax. You do not have to collect and remit sales tax. Now, it gets a little more complicated if you're doing something extra with the product. So you're selling a wreath from your Christmas tree business, and that's fine unless you put a pretty ribbon on it or decorations, that you didn't raise on the farm. Then it becomes taxable. If you sell potted plants in anything other than just a real generic pot, if you sell a pretty pot, that potted plant in those, then that becomes taxable. If you are making pumpkin butter and you put anything in it other than water, salt, pectin, and preservatives in something, then it becomes taxable. So if you add cinnamon to anything, I'm assuming you didn't raise the cinnamon. Same with selling meat, raw meat that came from animals you raised is sales tax exempt, except when you're making sausages, then those become subject to sales tax. There is a minimum level of sales that you have to make in order to get into that as well. We have a publication on this topic that would be really helpful on our website, and we also have Hal Pepper in our office who communicates frequently with the Department of Revenue and teaches quite often on that topic. If you have a specific complicated question, we can get that answered for you.
Okay. Well, I can't stress enough how valuable the Center for Profitable Ag is, and we really appreciate your time today, Megan, for coming in. And some of those classes that you talked about, maybe going virtual, would answer many of these questions. And I will mention that many of your courses are a day-long course, and they do make you eligible for some of the education that you need for the Tennessee Agricultural Enhancement Program or TAPE cost-sharing program from TDA. So be sure and get on there. They have a newsletter you can get on and hear all kinds of great things that are going on. I will mention that our next session will be the 13th of August, and we're going to be talking about beekeeping. And we will be meeting with someone who is our Tennessee apiary inspector, as well as going to his farm to kind of see what he does. And he has a very dynamic and many different enterprises on his farm that he does there, and is also thinking about doing the agritourism there. So that'll be an exciting one. Our last class will be August the 27th, where we'll be going to Rain Crow Farm, which is a farm in Johnson City where they have a CSA, they have go to markets, and so it's really, they're primarily a no-till farm because they're very much into the soil dynamics and soil health that they have on their farm. So that'll be a very interesting tour also. We do normally a fall field school that is our business kind of school. You can go to the Appalachian RC&D website and find out when and if we're able to produce that this fall. But the primary goal of that, and Megan speaks at that one, is about trying to help you understand all those P's that she talked about and putting together a business plan, and how do you go out and research a topic or a item that you want to sell, and what are the different markets, and what are the strengths of each of those markets, and what do each of those markets actually take to sell there. Because some people like to go to a farmer's market and sell. Some people want to sell off their farm. So that is a class that goes through the winter and early part of next year. It also gives you 3 hours, as I said in the video with Vera Ann, it gives you 3 hours of credit for the TAPE grant, or 3 years worth of credit, where normally some of these courses only give you 1 year of credit. So very much worthy of it, and hopefully we'll be able to give that in the fall. So other than that, we appreciate you joining us tonight, and hope you will come back and see about bees on the 13th of August. So with that, we'll end for this evening. Thank you so much for joining us.